Any of you? Oh, we're live.
Hello and welcome to the LFC transfer room. Today it is the pre-Chelsea stream for the FA Cup final. Joining me today is Drew, Omer, and Jay. I'll start with you, Drew. How are you?
Doing good. Amped for the final on Saturday. Looking forward to another trophy.
Oh, you, Omer, you another trophy on the line. Are you excited?
Yeah. Let's rack them trophies up now. It's crunch time. So, hey, Chelsea. It's always a nervy game with them. So let's just see how it goes, mate.
Right, you, Jay, nervous, excited?
Gutted about Fabinho, to be honest, mate. Massive loss for Fabinho, but yeah, excited, mate. How can you not be excited with all the games we've got coming up?
Exactly. But we'll touch on that first. Fabinho, huge loss. Looks like Jordan Henderson's probably going to play in that holding role. Does that fill you with more nerves, or are you still comfortable with that, Drew?
I think he's nailed on the first starter in our midfield every game, so he's definitely going to be a huge miss. But I'm buoyed by Chelsea's poor run of form. I know they've won their last two games, and but I don't think their midfield's that great at the moment. Conte's definitely had probably his worst season at Chelsea. Kovacic, I know he'll be back for the game, but after having that challenge that Dan James had against him on Leeds, I'm sure he won't be 100%. And with Thiago, wanting to probably step up and have an amazing final after missing the Carabao Cup, and Keita and Henderson, I think we have more than enough in the midfield to cover. And it's obviously a miss, but I think we're solid without him at the moment.
Speaking of Leeds, is that the perfect result, like opponent to play Chelsea before they play us, because they literally just shit house them for 90 minutes?
I don't know. I think it's hard to judge because it's a cup final, and it's sort of one of those things where form just goes out the window. And look, I know Chelsea's form's been pretty shocking, to be honest, recently, but they turn up against us. I don't know what it is. They play well against us wherever it is. It is like maybe it's the way they play. It just suits how, like, stylistically how we play. So we'll see. I mean, on form, like, you can't really judge off the Leeds game what's gonna happen, but I think, yeah. I mean, Kovacic, he's out. Is Kante out? Kante's out, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
I
meant to be
think.
back in training.
Mm.
It's always back
Uh,
to Liverpool.
Yeah, he's always back for us. But I think Kovacic is a huge miss, to be honest. And hopefully we can outrun Jorginho. Just give him no time. Get Keita, Thiago onto him. And
I read Kovacic is going to be good for the game. Did you guys read that?
I did not.
I haven't seen it. No, you were the first I heard today.
Yeah.
He said it was be back in full training tomorrow with a good shout for the game.
Well, speaking of that, then, Jay, is Kovacic key with us missing Fabinho, or are you comfortable with a Hendo, Thiago, Kaiser midfield?
The way I'm looking at it now, when Fabinho was injured at first, I thought it's a game changer this. But we missed Thiago in the EFL and won. So, it's arguing who's more important, Thiago or Fabinho. I think they're both as important as each other, but for different reasons. So I'm not as worried now. Now I've thought about it more, and I actually prefer Henderson in the six because I don't like what he offers going forward. I think his attacking play is poor. So I'm comfortable with him being in the six, to be honest. And I'm not too bothered about Kovacic because I've watched Loftus-Cheek over the last 2 or 3 games, and I've actually been really impressed with him. He's played really well for them when he's came in. So I think I'd actually prefer Kovacic over Loftus-Cheek because we're missing Fabinho. I just think Loftus-Cheek's more physical and got more energy. So yeah, I hope Kovacic does play with a little knock.
Omer, is it nailed on Henderson in that six? Like Jay says, he doesn't really offer much going forward. Is it better to play him there, or is it better to play Thiago there, who has played there numerous amounts of times and can be lethal as well from there?
Oops. Sorry. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm happy with Hendo in the six. I think he against Villa he came on, settled the whole game down. Thiago, you don't want to take him out of that sort of left-sided central midfield position. And I think with Chelsea, their sort of best way to play against us is sort of having runners off the forwards. So like people like Mount, Pulisic, they tend to have very good games against us, which I'd say if Fabinho is not the best at something, even though he's amazing, it's probably him keeping up with sort of third man runners running off him. So I think Henderson is more dynamic in that sense, and I think he's done all right in a 6. And we'll see how. As long as we've got Thiago and Keita there, I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll be fine. It's a good team.
Yeah. Drew, Hago says about Hudson-Odoi and Ben Chilwell are 100% out. And Kovacic and Kante 90% most likely not to start. I do think Kante probably will start, but missing Ben Chilwell and Callum Hudson-Odoi, who is very highly rated, do you think that is a benefit to Liverpool?
I actually think that Marcus Alonso is a bigger threat for me than Ben Chilwell. I know Ben Chilwell's got a lot of skill, a lot of youth, and he's a good player. But I think Marcus Alonso's got his free kicks and his set piece delivery, which are usually on point. And I don't know, he kind of reminds me of Azpilicueta in terms of an experienced player who knows how to show up in big games. I think that maybe the likes of Salah can put a really embarrassing moment in for him, but I think he does offer a lot for the game. So I still, I don't think there's too much difference for me in terms of worrying over a player if it's Ben Chilwell or Marcus Alonso. And Hudson-Odoi, I know Chelsea fans rate him, but I honestly haven't watched him enough to give a definitive, or an informative opinion on it. But if I think he was that great, he'd be in the starting lineup for the past few years instead of being on loan.
Gary raises a good point here, Jay. Coming off in the game against Villa on about 70 minutes, so it does look like he's probably going to play the final. How important will Luis Diaz be in that final?
Massive, mate. He just doesn't stop running. Doesn't give you a minute to think. You might think you're comfortable on the ball or you've got time, and if he's next to you, you haven't. He's like a dog when there's food, mate. He just runs at it, and you're not going to stop him whatsoever. He's been unbelievable since he come in, mate. So he's a nailed-on starter for me.
Well, you, Omer, how much have you been impressed by Luis Diaz since he came in?
Mate, he's honestly transformed our attack. It's sort of not only made Mane one of the best 9s in the world, which we didn't realise. He's added a bit of fresh air and just, like Jay says, energy to the team. I think what goes under the radar is how many hits he takes and then still just gets up and just keeps going at defenders. Like, he's so fearless. Whereas sort of like having someone come in and they've got no baggage with them. It's just like, screw it, we're gonna take on the world. And I love that attitude from him. So for me, I think, to be honest, the last month or so he's probably been our best forward. So I'm just excited to see what he can do, because he's going to go into that final with no fear, and we'll see what happens. I mean, he tore him apart in the cup final, the Carabao Cup final. So, and that was him just arriving. So let's see what he can do now.
I think he's very similar to Luis Suarez, Drew, in a sense of win at all costs. Would you say that's a fair comparison? Is he the closest thing to Suarez we've seen since Suarez?
That's a really good shout, Matty. I definitely get that passion and enthusiasm from him. Less than 6 months on, he's the one who gets us the equalizer against Tottenham. He's the one who's like, come on, let's do this. And to be the new guy on the block, carrying that amount of intensity and passion to win a game, that's a very good shout. I don't think, I've seen someone with that much enthusiasm for his gameplay and the willingness to attack defenders. Suarez is the next closest that, is popping into mind. And I think he will show up and have a big game against Chelsea. I actually didn't think he did I think the one game that he kind of didn't play at his best was against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final. I think he had a few moves, but he didn't make the huge impact that he has in other games. I think that just speaks to the levels that he's put in and how big an impact he's put in most of our games. So I'm hoping for more along the lines of an assist or a goal from him at the very least on Saturday.
Would you say he is nailed on to start then, Jay? Is he the key to the game in a sense of what would your front three be? Would it be Diaz, Salah, Mane, or would you throw Jota in there and put Diaz on the right or Salah up top? Like, what way would you go with it?
I'd have Diaz, Salah, Mane. There's no way Diaz can't play. The only reason I ever think you wouldn't play Diaz is how scary his impact is when he does come off the bench. Because, like I said, mate, his work rate, he just doesn't stop. Like Omer said, you can knock him down 4 or 5 times, he gets up and runs at you again. It's been a few times he's been tackled and touched his leg or his knee, and I've thought, has he picked up a knock here? And he doesn't. He just carries on and gets on with it. So, yeah, he's got to be a nails-on starter for me, mate. I love Jota as well, I do love him, but I just don't see how you can drop Mane in his goal-scoring form, drop Diaz when he's kind of the go-to man at the minute. Obviously, you could argue Salah's not in the best form, but I don't think you drop Mo Salah for a cup final. So, yeah, I think the front three is pretty much nailed on.
His form goes out the window in the cup final, doesn't it, Omer? Do you think Salah, and he always likes to turn up against Chelsea, do you think this is the game where he can maybe do something special just to be like this form temporary class as player?
Yeah, he's been talking a good game recently. And we obviously know he's got a good game. I think it's due. I think a lot of the attention's been on Mane and Diaz, which is probably deserved. But I know the goals haven't come, but I still think having Salah in that team in the last month or two, he draws so much attention to him. Sometimes it's almost like he's being double or triple marked, and then you've got all the space in the world for Diaz and Mane or Jota, whoever's on like the other side, who sort of have been thriving. I don't think his performances have been bad. I just think he's lacked that sort of clinical edge. Like he's still getting sort of chances, and it'll come. He's our best player. He's for me, he's the best player in the league for a reason. And look, if there's any stage for him to turn up, it'll be against his ex-team in a cup final. So yeah, I think it's due. And I think any sort of chat or shouts for him to get dropped, it's just like he adds a different dimension to our team on the right. I don't think anyone else can do what he does on the right-hand side. Like, I don't really like Diaz out there. I don't like Mane or Jota out there. So yeah, and his connections with Trent, like there's there's nothing really better.
Yeah.
And Jota at right wing is painful. But true. Do you think Sadio Mane will be rubbing his hands together with potentially a back three of Chabola, Christensen, and Rudiger? That's what he played against Leeds. It seems like that's the go-to at the minute with injuries. Rudiger's very good, but Chabola's young and Christensen hasn't really got the pace. Is that where we should be targeting, really, with Mane dropping behind them?
Yeah, I think he's got his shooting boots back on. I know he's missed a few chances as per Mane recently when he should score, but he tends to get the goal now, which is is exactly what we need. Has been crucial in the past months, and I think with the back three, he has a lot of different options to pull from. Like he's actually not bad in the air either. So if Trent spots him on a run, or puts in a ball for a header, he can come up for that, or he can just beat the defenders with the ball at his feet. We know he has pace. His physicality is top notch. You hear players in the club talk about it all the time, and we've seen it. So I think he just has a number of different edges that he can cut Chelsea's defense up with. And that back three is not Chelsea's strongest, and I think they rely majority on controlling the games, which they might have to give up for against Liverpool. And Mane up top suits that.
Jay, Drew's just said about how good Mane is in the air. Is that something that could potentially be Liverpool's plan B going forward with Trent's balls to Mane in the air? Because we have always seemed to have lacked someone who is clinical in the air.
I don't think you'd use him as a target man as such. I don't think that's part of his game. I think if he's in and around the area, he's got a brilliant leap. No different from Jota. They're both not particularly tall men, but they're both brilliant in the air. They've got a great leap. Thiago's like that, actually. Thiago's short, but he seems to win all the headers with his leaping. So the thing is, with Mane, I wouldn't target getting balls into the box for his head, but if one does land, then you're confident he's going to put it away. He is really good in the air, but he's definitely no stretch of target man. I wouldn't play that way.
Omer, the Halo brings a good point here about with Fabinho being out, do we need that extra bit of pace in the centre-back position on Saturday? Would you put Canarsie in ahead of Matip?
I think it is all opposition-based how Klopp uses Canate and Matip. I think it's that sort of channel in behind Trent that teams often target, and if they do have a pacey winger, like say Vinicius is going to start for Real Madrid, like I fully expect Canate to start that game because of that. They'll probably have Werner on the left, maybe. I'm conflicted. Because I think Matip, he brings a lot on the ball. And I think Chelsea are going to, in periods, make it hard for us. So I'm impartial to who starts, but I think if Klopp does see that threat in the channel, then yeah, Canase's got that yard of pace. He can keep up with anyone, to be honest. So yeah, I don't know. Normally, I feel like I know what Klopp's going to do regarding centre back, but I actually don't know if he's going to want the sort of experience and ball playing of Matip, or if he wants the speed of Canate.
True. What would you do if you've got the likes of like Pulisic, Werner, Ziyech has got a bit of pace about him as well in the Chelsea side? I mean, Halo makes a good point again about Canate being the third fastest player in the Premier League. What would you side with, more experience, like what Omer's referring to, or would you think Canate is a must in a sense of Chelsea have got a bit of pace behind them?
I won't be bothered either way, but I would go with Matip just for that little bit of experience. I think Kanate has shown that he has a mistake in him, not from lack of ability, but just from maybe just every defender has an odd mistake in him. But I wouldn't want to put necessarily the pressure of an FA Cup final on him. I know he'll probably start against Champions League now that I say that, but just for this game in particular, I would choose Matip just based on his experience. But I'm not chuffed either way.
Jay, would you start him in the FA Cup final and the Champions League final? Because I think it's nailed on. Champions League, Vinny Jr. is rapid. Trent is going to need that extra bit of help. But he scored a goal in the semi-final as well, so surely he warrants starting this.
I think one starts one final and the other starts the other final. And Matip already started the League Cup final. I think Canate will start the Real Madrid game, like you said, and the only reason being is Canate's games have been in the Champions League. You've seen what he's done with Kelleher. He stuck with him to the EFL. I know it's slightly different, obviously, but I think he'll go with Matip tomorrow. Saturday, and I think he'll go with Canate for the final. Either way, I think one plays in one final and the other plays in the other, because I think it'd be unfair to start Matip in all of the finals and then Canate is part of the journey but doesn't get any of the final glory, if you will. So I do think he'll go Matip Saturday, and I think he'll go Canate for the Champions League.
Interesting take. Well, this time, does Origi have one last rodeo in him, or is he saving that for the big stage in Paris?
He has to. He has to be on every bench from now until the end of the season. I don't care. Yeah. Look, I think Klopp's nailed his subs this season, but I'd probably say the one he didn't nail was not bringing Origi on against Spurs. I feel like the stage was set. Anfield was loud. Diaz had just equalised. Like it's Origi o'clock essentially, and I think that extra threat, that box threat. I was seeing discussions about like who our like most clinical forward is, and from a certain point of view, you could definitely argue it's probably Origi, with sort of his presence in the box and the way he just takes half chances. So yeah, definitely on the bench. And look, if it's tight, if we're drawing, if we're losing, I'll be honest, I'd want Origi off the bench first, ahead of Jota. It's nothing against Jota. I just feel that extra sort of dimension. Jota's very similar player to our current front three. Whereas Origi just offers something different. So yeah, he needs to be on that bench. And look, ideally, I'd hope we don't use him because it'd probably mean we've won. But like, yeah, he's got one more in him. But if he had to have only one, say it for the
Yeah, Jay, what about you? Is Omar right? Get Origi on every bench. Do you reckon he saves his big moments again for another Champions League final rodeo? Or do you think he could add that asset, couldn't he, in like the 89th minute if you're looking for a goal?
Omer made the boss point, mate. Our front line are all very similar in certain ways, other than Origi. Origi's obviously more of a target man, bigger fella. You can knock it long to him. You can't really do that with any of the other lads. So yeah, 100% he should be on the bench. And yeah, mate, I think Origi's always got one of these little moments under the money. And with it being his last season, I certainly hope there is one more, if not two more. Why not the FA Cup and the Champions League? Go out with a bang.
Would you bring him on, Drew, before, like what I said, before anyone else, really? Or does it just entirely depend on the way the game's panning out?
I think it entirely depends on the way the game's panning out. Like if we're, as Omer and Jay said, if Jota has similar qualities to our front three, but if it's just the case where we're not putting the ball in the back of the net, but we're getting chances, then I'd put Jota on because I think I'd argue that he is maybe our most clinical finisher, given how many goals he's had and probably the fewest amount of games in the front four right now. But Origi definitely has a place, and he adds a totally different dimension, as Jay and Omer said. So if the game's just not going to plan, throw him on, see what happens. But Klopp normally gets it right, and in that scenario, I bring on Jota because I back him a lot.
5 subs in this game, Jay. Do you reckon Klopp will rotate or heavily? Do you think the league's done? Do you think he'll just go for this and then maybe go for Champions League? Or what do you think he'll do with them 5 subs?
It depends how the game's going, mate, but you can see how that can go wrong. City made all them changes in the Champions League, and that's why they're not in the final. It sounds mad, mate, but we're all Liverpool fans. We know how games can turn and how mad shit can happen. Istanbul, Olympiacos, Dortmund, Alaves, you can go on and on. So, if you're winning 2-0 and there's 10 minutes left, 10 minutes is more than enough time to get 2 goals, especially when momentum's in your favour. So no, I don't think he will risk it because if you go into extra time as well and you've took off some of your main men, you're playing another half an hour now with players that you probably wouldn't have went with because you thought the game was won. That's why you've brought them on. So don't get me wrong, if we're 4-0 up or something like that, then yeah, maybe he will, but I don't see us beating them 4-0, so I don't see him messing about with the team.
What would you say on that, Omer? Do you think that maybe if it's a tight game, do you think the key players do stay on? Because the City game's not till Sunday, so I suppose in Klopp's eyes, the mentality that you've got, the league's never over, is it? Until it physically is. Where I do think if they beat the West Ham on Sunday, the league is done. Do you reckon Klopp has an eye on that, or he's not asked?
I think when it's the final, Klopp's not even going to think about the City game or the Southampton game we've got next. I think it's do absolutely everything to get that second trophy because it's massive for like the momentum going into the final week of the league and the Champions League final, having 2 trophies under your belt. So I think like Jay says, it's about how the game goes. I think if it is tight, the main men do probably stay on. Maybe maybe we get a Jota, Firmino, Origi coming on. But I think take it a game at a time, and just see where we are. I think the league is probably dependent on that West Ham game. So, but that doesn't come till Sunday, so we can't really think about Sunday on Saturday.
Yeah, you can have such a high Saturday and then have such a low on Sunday.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested in get all your opinions on if there's a cup final. So ultimately, Saturday is our most important game of the season thus far. If Liverpool was to go on and win the FA Cup and Champions League, and we only done the treble, and we do miss out on the league by a couple of points, I'll start with you, Drew. How would you rate this season out of 10, and why?
9 out of 10. I think you missed the quadruple. That's the perfect season. But arguably any other year you could push for a 10 out of 10, a treble. When's the last time we've done that? 2001, right? So, I can't. I think it just speaks to how used to the team performing well and how good we've been in the few years that we're talking about being disappointed from. Drawing games like Tottenham. I get that that's a big crush and that we're this close to winning the quadruple and, et cetera, et cetera. But, go back 10 years ago to when, or a little more than that now, 11 years ago with Roy Hodgson and the dugout. I remember those times vividly, and they were not happy times. So the fact that we've already won a League Cup final, for me, that's huge. A lot of people knock that trophy called Mickey Mouse Cup, but FA Cup, all the cups matter to me. And this is, we win the Champions League and FA Cup. This can be best season I've experienced as a Liverpool fan, and got to be 9 out of 10.
Does that show how spoiled we are, Jay, that winning the Champions League, FA Cup and League Cup could potentially only be a 9 out of 10 season? Because it's not the fact that we drew at the Etihad. It's draws, like you said in the chat the other day, about games like Brighton and stuff like that. That is going to cost us the league. So is that how spoiled we are, or would you say it is a 10 out of 10 season?
Yeah, it is spoiled. The only reason Drew said 9 is because he's so optimistic that we'll win everything anyway. So that's the only reason he hasn't said 10. For me, mate, it is a 10. Because how many teams have won a treble? Who's ever even been in a position where he nearly can win a quadruple? Even if we don't win the league, which is looking highly unlikely, we've only missed out by 2 or 3 points. And if we win the Champions League, it's the biggest competition you can win. Yeah. We shouldn't even be in a title race shout when you look back at January, February. So even this ride alone, to go on that and win 3 cups, it's a 10 for me, mate, definitely.
Whose boat are you in? Omer? Are you optimistic we can still do all 4 and make it a 10 out of 10 season, or are you happy with the treble?
I like Drew's reasoning that a 10-10 season is the quadruple, because that is the pinnacle. But I'm probably splitting. I'm probably a 9.5. Where so if you want to if you want to make the final judgment, mate, that's down to you, mate. But I think if someone offered you a treble of any kind at the start of the season, you're saying yes. You're snapping their hand off at that. So look, it'll be the best season I've ever seen, and you can't really fault it. It'll be second in the league and a treble. But hey, can it a 10-10 has to be sort of winning everything? So
but
I guess
at the end of last year when we had Reece Williams and that Phillips get top 4, we never thought this season was possible, surely.
No, I didn't, and I agree. But I don't think anyone's probably. I'll just say you had a sort of a meter that sort of had like that you could sort of rank a seasons upon. Like for me, 10 out of 10 is perfection. And we are probably a 0.2 off perfection because of the league. So maybe like a 9.8. I don't know.
I was just going to say that's a 9.75 then at least, lad.
Yeah. I'll say a 9.8 out of 10. I'm not I find people who are like you see on like social media, Twitter, wherever, people are like getting annoyed that the quadruple could be gone. I'm like, come on, like you said, last season happened, and we're literally in a very good position to win a. For me, the best trophy to win in football. So, yeah, I'll probably say a 9.8 or something. And yeah, I'm hoping, I'm clinging on to that West Ham game because they need to win that game to get European football. So they're going to be up for that, and they're no slouches, especially at home. So
They beat us at Chelsea, haven't they?
Yeah, they've beaten all the top teams at home, I think.
Bear in mind, boys, Laporte's probably injured, so they're going to have to go back at Fernandinho at the back.
Fernandinho's injured as well.
Yeah.
Oh, you missing?
Yeah.
So there you go. What? You've got no centre half except Ake, and even he's carrying a knock, isn't he?
All I want is for it to go to that final day and us to be in with a shout.
Yeah.
And see what Gerrard does. Like that's when the real nerves come, because City are going to be in a position where it's now them who potentially can bottle the league. We can't. So it's over to City to be perfect in 2 games, and they're not going to be 2 easy games.
Are you as optimistic as I am about King Stevie G, Drew?
Honestly, this is the first time I'll say like I don't think Gerrard will do it. Like I don't think they'll beat City.
I've never seen this.
I think he can get a draw. Like if it comes down to it, and a draw will do it for us, then I think he gets that. I think a win's a stretch.
Interesting. Yeah, before we go, I'll go Jay, Omer, and then Drew. Score predictions, and do we win the game in 90 minutes, extra time, or pens? I'll start with you, Jay.
After that last game, mate, the end to end, the offsides and that, it could have been mental. Oh my God. I'll go 3-2 Liverpool. I think it's going to be a horror.
What about you?
Yeah. I'm going safe. I'm saying 2-0 Liverpool, and Van Dijk and Salah will score. Just nice, easy 2 goals by 70 minutes, and let's just wrap up the game there. But it's a cup final. It's never going to go like that.
Yeah. What about you, Drew?
I'll go 2-1. I'll split the difference. I think Diaz and Salah on the score sheet, and then maybe a late consolation goal for Chelsea and make it a little nervy.
I think we'll batter them about 4-1, Everton are terrible. They beat them the other day. Well, they're not the Chelsea that we thought we faced in the League Cup final, in my opinion. Like, they've been ravaged by injuries, so I think we'll batter them 4-1.
I think if we have the semi-finals to go off, we turned up against City and ran a train through them. Chelsea played one of the worst games of football I've ever seen against Crystal Palace. Like, honestly, that game was so dull, and just their slight bit of extra quality got them through that game. So we sort of have that Wembley momentum. We've done it at Wembley before against them, so we have that sort of edge on them, and we sort of have had that big Wembley day already, which we can sort of feast upon and use to basically say, right, you've done it against City, now do it against Chelsea.
That's a perfect note to leave it on. But yeah, if you're new around here, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on the video. It really helps us out a lot. Stream every day. Individual videos coming back as well, which are always interesting. And we do have a watch along for the Liverpool-Chelsea game with Louis and guests as well, which is the first time. So that'll be interesting. So make sure you check that out. But nice one to everyone for watching.